The loudest threat in your feed this week is the one that can hurt your bag the least. And the two quietest ones are the expensive ones. The loud one is the claim that a banking insider warned of some coming attack on Ripple. It is spreading fast, but it has no named source, no mechanism, and nothing on chain that you can check. Meanwhile, two threats are sitting in plain sight and they can actually take money out of your position. So here is what this whole video does, and I'm not closing it until the end. I'm going to put the 3 real threats to your bag on the table, rank them by how much each can actually cost you, and show you why the scariest headline is dead last on that list. XRP right now sits at $1.12. Hold that number because 2 of these decide whether it holds, and the loud one barely even touches it. Let me start with the rumor everybody is sharing because we have to clear it first. The story is that some unnamed banker is warning of an attack on Ripple. Maybe, but ask the 3 questions you would ask of any threat. Who is the named source? What is the actual mechanism of the attack? And is there anything on a chain or a court filing that we can verify? Right now, the answer to all 3 is nothing. So a threat with no source, no mechanism is not a risk that you can price. It's a feeling. If a credible name attaches a real mechanism to it, it moves up the list immediately. But until then, it stays at the bottom. If you want the actual risk list instead of another panic clip, hit the like button and subscribe right now because the risk that gets ignored is the one that actually moves your XRP bag. Now the first real one, and it's the most boring threat in crypto. Every single month, Ripple releases XRP out of escrow. The release is about 1 billion XRP at a time. Most of it usually gets relocked back into escrow, but the part that does not get relocked is real new supply hitting the market. That is sell pressure that exists whether the news is good or bad. It is not a conspiracy. It is published on-chain schedule that you can read for yourself. So drop a comment which risk scares you the most right now before I rank them, because by the end, you'll see why the loudest one is the weakest. Here is why that escrow number matters for your bag specifically. New supply with flat demand pushes price down. It's that simple. Demand soaks up the released XRP and you never feel it. In a week, risk off market like the one that we are in this week, the same release lands on fewer buyers. The macro mood right now is fragile. So the escrow release is not dangerous because it is huge. It is dangerous because of when it lands. Subscribe and like the video because I'm walking you through what I'll be doing with my XRP position as each of these risks play out. The plan, the day it matters, not the panic. The second real risk is older, and most holders think it is already dead. It is that legal tail. The SEC sued Ripple back in December of 2020 over whether XRP was an unregistered security. Most of that fight has gone Ripple's way, but most of it is not all. Until every appeal and every penalty step is fully closed and signed, there is a residual legal overhang. I'm not telling you the case is alive and dangerous. I'm telling you it is not a closed book yet. And a closed book is what removes that last bit of institutional hesitation. One quick housekeeping note, you can actually trade using the crypto exchange WEEX. You can use the link in the video description for a massive bonus and a decrease in your trading fees. Now, the third real risk. And this is the one hiding inside the good news. You've heard all week that a BlackRock XRP ETF is coming and a price surge is building on the expectation. Here is the trap. No spot XRP ETF is approved and trading in the US right now. It is speculation. And yet the price at $1.13 is already reacting to it as if it were a done deal. That gap is the risk. When a price is pricing in an approval that does not happen, the downside is not the approval failing. The downside is the wait. Every week it does not arrive, the bet looks weaker, and the holders who bought purely on the speculation start to leave. If you have ever sold XRP into a rumor and then watched it bounce without you, say so below because most holders have done it at least once, and I know that I have. So put these 3 together because the order is the whole point. The escrow supply is mechanical and constant. The legal tail is small but real until it's signed off. The priced in XRP ETF bet is the one that can snap because expectations unwind faster than they can build. And the loud insider attack rumor, it is still sitting at the bottom with no source, no mechanism. 3 of these are things you can verify, and one of them is just a feeling. The market is telling you to fear the feeling and ignore the 3 that you can check. There is a reason the upside is conditional and the downside is the part to plan for. Grayscale's head of research said plainly that XRP is mispriced and a repricing is in order, but only if regulatory clarity arrives. Read that carefully. The good case has an if attached to it. The risks do not. Escrow releases on schedule with no if. The legal tail closes on its own timeline with no if. So smart holders plan around the things that happen regardless and treats the upside as the bonus, not the base case. Send this to one XRP holder that you know is about to panic sell off the headline because they need the real risk list. So here is the actual answer to the question that you clicked on. What are the real risks to your XRP right now? In order, the priced in ETF bet that can unwind, the monthly escrow supply that lands hardest in a weak tape, and the legal tail that is not fully closed. The insider attack rumor is last, because you cannot verify a single piece of it. The scary one is the cheap one. The boring ones are the expensive ones, which means your move is not the one the panic videos are selling. The committed read is this: holding a core position, trimming into strength, never into a rumor, and watch 2 things in order: the escrow releases each month and the ETF flows that are propping up in expectation. Do not sell into a headline you cannot source. The people who dump XRP at $1.13 on an unverified attack rumor become the exit liquidity for the people who read the escrow schedule. And here is the one thing that should turn a hold into a potential trim. If the monthly escrow releases stop getting relocked and starts moving into exchanges in size, that is real supply with intent to sell, and it changes the math. That is not a single sell signal that matters. So the answer is simple now that you have the order right. The real risk to your XRP is not the attack everybody is sharing. It is the supply you can see, the legal step that is not signed, and the ETF bet the price already swallowed. Watch those, not the noise. The next real question is what the escrow does this month. I broke down exactly the escrow release schedule and what to watch on chain in the video on screen right now. Watch it next. Make sure to subscribe, like the video, tap that notification bell so the next risk breakdown lands in your feed before the move and not after.